At the age of 17, you were the #1 pick in the Major League Baseball draft, and you joined the Seattle Mariners. So you went from your high school prom to facing Roger Clemens at Fenway Park. So take us through those early days of your career. Like, what was that like?
It didn't go very well. Against Roger, yeah, who later became my teammate. You know, it's interesting, I tell you, this is really about a story about courage. So I remember, I'm just a 17-year-old kid out of Miami, broker than broke, and with big dreams. And I signed a scholarship to go to the University of Miami to play both quarterback and shortstop. And I was thrilled, because in my senior year, we had 11 Division I scholarships, and I was one of those 11. And all 10 of them went to college. I was the only one that went pro. But I remember the Mariners came on calling, and you know, when you're broke, it's hard to negotiate, right? I'm going up against the big, bad Mariners. And at the time, they were owned by Mr. Yamamachi, who you guys remember Nintendo? He was the founder of Nintendo. And he was a Japanese owner. He had never attended a game, but obviously the Seattle and Japan connection was very tight. So I'm negotiating with someone. I'm broke. I don't even know who the hell I'm negotiating against. But my mom is my chief negotiator. And I'm like, wow, this is David versus Goliath. I said, oh boy, here we go. I have a front row seat. So my mom is sitting there, and I'm sitting here, and my mom does all the talking in my house. So their first offer is $750,000. I go, great, we'll take it. My mom just looked at me. Remember that scene from The Godfather? I said, apologies. My son obviously doesn't know who's in charge here. She said, sit your ass down. And if you talk again, I'm going to kick you out of the room. I said, yes, ma'am. So I drank a little water and just shut down. She said, all right, now, this is how this negotiation is going to go. This is my mom talking. We have -$5 in our pocket. She goes, the number is going to be $1.5 million. My son wants a major league contract, and he wants a 3-year deal. I looked at my mom like, yeah, that's what we want. She just looked at me and said, didn't I tell you to shut the hell up? I said, all right, Mom, I'm just agreeing with you. I'm just trying to, rally here. Trying to be a contributor. So the first meeting, and that went going back and forth now for 2 months. And it comes down to the 9th inning, and at that time, if you walk into the University of Miami, you're locked in for 3 years. It's not like now with NIL, you can trade. We had this word called commitment. Y'all heard of that, right? We got to introduce that to our children. Commitment for 3 years. So then my other option was, if I walk away from the University of Miami, I can go to Miami-Dade Community College. And if I go to the community college, I can go after 1 year. So that was a real option. So long story short, they came up to $1 million. She said no. They came up to $1.1 million. She said no. She said $1.5 million, $1.2 million. At the end of the day, I was walking to college, and where that screen is will be my first class. Now, if I walk into that classroom, I have my books, I have my book bag. I'm walking to class. If I walk to that class, I'm locked in for 3 years, and I walk away like The Price is Right from $1 million. And that was the slowest walk I ever had. So I'm almost walking backwards like Michael Jackson with the moonwalk. And about 5 steps before I get to class, Fernando Arguello, the head scout of Miami, says, hey, Alex, don't walk into class. We want to have one more conversation. I said, let's talk, baby. So long story short, that was about 9 o'clock in the morning. About 14 hours later, at 2:30 in the morning, my mother agrees to a $1.35 million major league contract in which she negotiated, and I was off to Seattle.
Check
right?
that.
So that was one of my early memories of courage and commitment and believing in what you have and knowing your value. Yes. And at the time, I did not know my value. That's why I was talking out of turn. But she knew my value.